So it was the summer of 1992. I was in Mammoth Lakes, California, living the mountain lifestyle. Fell in love with the high Sierras. I moved up there 1991 for the season to teach skiing. A buddy of mine called me up one night. He said, "Hey bro, would you like to go skiing for a year?" It didn't take me 2 seconds but to say, hell yeah. How? Anyhow, we got jobs through Mammoth doing a job fair in our town in Ventura, California. Just moved up there in a couple months, skied 150 days straight, just excelled in skiing. Just fell in love with the environment, the people, the activities. I grew up skiing on occasion, but with skiing every single day for 150 days, I really got it wired. And then my friends told me, hey, if you like it here in the wintertime, you're gonna love it in the summer. So they talked me into staying for the summertime, the full year. I was gonna do the full year and wait for the next winter. Got a brand new mountain bike, rock climbing gear, got a new fishing pole. I got all the apparatus to do everything I could up in the mountains, and I did. Loved it. Was really coming into my own. I just turned 20 in June. In July 19th, 1992, when a buddy of mine called me up and he said, hey man, you want to come meet me down the street? Let's shoot some pool. So it was a Monday night after the holiday, 4th of July. Nobody in town. Really slow. Didn't think about it. Didn't put my helmet on. Just pulled the bike off the wall and jumped out the door. Well, I never made it to the place. Woke up. My first memory is 10 days later in a hospital. And once you wake up from something like that, you are never the same. My life as it was gone instantly. So I was hit by a truck, suffered a traumatic brain injury. I was life flighted from Mammoth to Reno to the nearest trauma center a few hours away to save my life. And they had to remove about 30% of my cranium. Let's see the scar right there. I had 2 subdural hematomas and a contracture injury of the brain on the opposite side. I was a dead man if they didn't help me. So the physical injury is one thing. I, slipped into a coma. When I woke up, all I saw was white sheet over my body, white walls, TV above this sink in front of me, the foot of my bed, and didn't know where I was. I thought I was coming out of a dream and no clue where I was. So the nurse came in and figured out, yeah, I'm in the hospital. I had no clue. Didn't remember a thing. I could not speak. I looked down at my arm, when I first woke up. I looked around, with my eyeballs, I couldn't even barely move my head, couldn't move my body, really. I was just shifting my eyes and saw that I had an IV. And I think with my right hand, I was able to move it. And I realized that I had a massive bandage around my head. And because they had to cut out that bone to stop the bleeding and then leave room for this brain swelling. That lasted almost 5 months, having to wear a hockey helmet and learning how to walk, talk, eat, drink water again, atrophied, lost 40 pounds of muscle. Doctors said that my life was over as I knew it. They didn't know how well I was going to recover. Lucky I survived, but that's about it. You'll never ski, bike, climb, any of that again. So imagine, just turned 20 and I hear this. So once I was stabilized and out of ICU and out of my coma, I traveled down to Southern California to be in a transitional living center for 4 months, which was a home next to this hospital in Ventura County. And so I had to learn how to make my bed, make my breakfast, go shopping again, cognitive and physical therapy, rehabilitation from ground zero, all over, starting over. I came up with I had my own ideas about adding to certain things I was doing for my recovery that I put on top of the program that they were putting me through, which gave me an edge. And I was in and out of that transitional living center faster than any other traumatic brain injury survivor or stroke survivor that was in there. 4 months is fast. And that's all they could do. I excelled in everything I possibly could, and they couldn't really help me anymore there. So I checked out, and then it was time for me to get my bone plate put back in because it had been 4 or 5 months. Yeah, 4 months, and the brain swelling had gone down. So I got that surgery done, and my motivation to get the hell out of there was to be back on the mountain that very same year. By 30 days later, after my cranioplasty, where they put my bone back in, I was back on skis against doctors, surgeons' recommendations and prognosis. I put myself back on skis, moved back up to Mammoth, and got back on the hill, skied another 150 days straight. And by the end of that season, I was a better skier than I was before my head injury. And there were so many, looking back, the reason why I physically recovered, so well was I was, 20 years old, and also, but still, I'm 50, almost 54 right now. I'm still pretty healthy, still pretty fit. It's so movement's and huge, exercise, and also the environment. Certain things need to be in place for you to have exceptional recovery, and I know what that is. So that's what I'm sharing. So that first season back in Mammoth was just the beginning, because my body came back much faster than the brain. Once you touch the brain, as they say, you're never the same. So the cognitive recovery was much slower. Yet, I was fortunately, at that time, I was in a great environment. I had good friends. I was doing something I was passionate about. I was in a beautiful location. And so it was a good foundation. But there was no additional therapy. There was no TBI groups. None of that existed in 1992. The internet was just made public in 1991 or something like that. There was nothing online, no support, nothing. Unless I wanted to stay, they couldn't even refer me to any other place to help me from the rehabilitation center, the transitional living center. So they were like, good luck, you're good, it's all we can do. So for the last 33 years, I've been on my own. No support other than my immediate family, emotional support. And, I didn't get a huge settlement or anything like that. I got very, very little money. A few $1,000, burned through that quick. and I had to go out and, I had 2 jobs when I went back to Mammoth right away. I was in rental shop, and a friend of mine started a Mexican restaurant, and they knew my situation and they supported me. I couldn't remember anything. I had short-term memory deficit, massive. So support, environment, relationships, many things go into this, into your cognitive recovery, aside from your physical recovery. But it works together. If you don't take care of your body, your mind will not follow very well. So anyhow, there is a program I'm introducing. It's a 5-day reset for high functioning men who are having challenges, that lost everything, just went through trauma, physical, emotional, situational, COVID. I lost everything again in COVID. I've been married and divorced. I've had traumatic incidences with people and what have you. So I've learned a lot, and I have a lot to share. So again, for the man rebuilding, if you're a high functioning man rebuilding after trauma, injury, divorce, burnout, identity collapse, start with stabilization, not pressure. I created something simple called the 5-day comeback reset. It walks you through the exact framework I used. No hype, just structure, just stability, just momentum. The link is below. Start here, and I'll see you on the other side.